James Lundis, this wine is next. It's Aridus. This is Barrel Select California Chardonnay 2015 vintage. Stay tuned and I'll tell you about this beautiful, gorgeous, outstanding Chardonnay. So this is a fantastic Chardonnay. It is a California Chardonnay, but I'll tell you more about that in a moment when I show you the label. It's important to think about your Chardonnays that, yes, I always think to myself, I only want a appellation-specific California Chardonnay if I'm gonna have a Chardonnay from California. But I have to step back just a moment because this is an Arizona producer. Now, if they're getting fruit from a specific appellation, they cannot call that specific appellation on the label itself. Hence, it has a general appellation of California. But here we go with this wine. I'll show you where it says that on the back label. This is a Barrel Select Aridus. Now, they do 2 Chardonnays per year. This is a Barrel Select. They have non-Barrel Select. 2015 vintage, 14.3% ABV. Back label for you to look at here. You're gonna see California Chardonnay right there. And so this does come from Santa Maria Valley and Presque Isle Vineyard specifically. Now, when I think about that, that's really fine fruit. It's a very well-regarded vineyard and producer. And so to have this fine fruit in this wine, I think is exceptional. The winemaker on this wine from Aridus is Lisa Strid, and I think she's doing a fantastic job. Very sophisticated wine, and one where I think there's this deep, desire to produce sophisticated wines. And I think, when this is the Barrel Select, that means this has an additional amount of aging compared to the non-Barrel Select, total of 44 months in barrel. That's quite a bit of time. And but yet it doesn't taste like a prototypical California buttery oaky Chardonnay. So it's sophisticated and balanced. And I know that word is used probably way too often, but I think that's a case to be made here for this wine. I think it's extremely well made and very, very nice. In fact, it's probably the best Chardonnay I've tasted in 2020 of any Chardonnay from any region. And so I think it sings praises of this producer and what they're doing. So they have 26 months in general for their Chardonnay, extended out to 44 months in total for this particular Chardonnay. And they produce 443 cases, $46 suggested retail price point, which I think in my opinion is reasonable considering the amount of age on the wine. And so it doesn't taste like an aged wine. It has a nice structure to this wine, a nice build to this wine. So on this wine, they sourced the grapes in 2015 from Presque Isle. So the grapes are picked on September 27th of this particular year, 2015. And then it starts fermentation on September 28th, proceeding to ferment for 14 days. After fermentation, it's placed into oak for 44 months, as I've just mentioned. And so I think this is really that elegance and beauty that time gives it. And to me, I think, imagine this for another 5-10 years. I definitely loved aged Chardonnay. I think it's fantastic with food. And, I would say that some Chardonnays can age well and some can't. From a tasting experience point of view, I definitely think this can age very nicely and gonna go with a nice amount of seafood. So a lobster chowder, fruit de mer, a nice Dungeness crab. There's a lot of things to do with this wine and to enjoy it. But what I'm gonna recommend is when you get your wine, first of all, open it up, smell it, and experience it before you serve it for your food, your dinner. Definitely wanna taste it and see what this wine is like. You should do this on every single fine wine that you bring into your house and you're gonna serve for dinner or maybe a very nice lunch. And really you're getting a taste of the wine. Why this is, compared against even if you have the opportunity to get the non-Barrel Select to the Barrel Select, they're gonna taste different. And that's by design, it's on purpose. It's what the winemaker intended on doing. And to me, I think there's this beautiful harmony where Chardonnay in many ways gets a lot of non-praise, and it's beat up on quite a bit, and it really shouldn't be. It deserves a glass to be served at every table. I think it's a lovely wine. I love the weight of Chardonnay. I love the variety, and I love how many different ways people make Chardonnay. So you've tasted one Chardonnay, you've not tasted them all. And yes, I don't agree with anything but Chardonnay. I definitely want Chardonnay, especially for a fantastic meal. What I like about this wine is it's not going to be over pronounced and over assorted in terms of, say, the buttery characterization or oaky characterization. Even with 44 months, right? It really has that nice harmonious characterization. So it's not over the top. It's not going to be something that's going to, still that particular show in terms of your dinner. It's going to pair with it well. And I think that's the beauty of this wine. So on this wine, notes of autumnal fruit characterization of apple and quince notes, white flowers, and oyster shell. And next, the palate characterization. So on the palate, beautiful acidity, also a very nice mouthfeel to it. So it's a nice luxuriant characterization of this wine. Additional on this would be notes of quince, so very those autumnal notes again, Granny Smith apple, hint of flowers, nutmeg characterization, which I think is a nice compliment to the wine, as well as mineral notation. This wine's 94 points out of 100 points. I'm going to point you to the producer down below, so seek them out and perhaps make a purchase, and you can have it delivered to your specific state if it can receipt wines from Arizona. So this is a producer who's not really trying to please for a local palate. That's not a bad thing necessarily, but it's really, dialing in just a little bit more for a sophisticated wine, for a wine that can be, served and enjoyed anywhere. And I think that's the compliment to the wine, the compliment to the winemaker, Lisa Strid, and to Aridus for having that vision and sticking with that vision. Very important to do. So if you're in Arizona, definitely support local. And if you're not local, definitely support Aridus. I think it's a lovely wine. And questions and comments down below, please leave them, and I'll put other videos of Aridus wines that I reviewed right up here in the YouTube cards. But definitely enjoy this with food and have a great time with this wine. And let's stay connected between videos. You'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and WordPress, as well as my podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Santé.